This is Saima Dillon. You're listening to Heart with Saima, the podcast show for people searching for that courageous person within us who wants to be inspired by listening to stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm Saima Dillon, your host. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. Let's dive right in. My guest today is streaming live from the UK. Her name is Rebecca Hollis. She's a speaker, content creator, and a startup entrepreneur. With her insightful and relatable thought leadership, coupled by her infectious personality, Rebecca has attracted the attention of thousands of people all over the world. So without waiting anymore, let me bring Rebecca on.
Hi.
Hey, Rebecca. Welcome to Heart with Saima. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. So you're connecting from the UK, and how are things over there?
They could be better. So obviously we're just in the midst of the pandemic and we are suffering, it would seem, more than most.
Yes.
We have had a strain of the virus that has mutated. So we are all locked away in our homes, but hopefully people are, safe and happy at home and stuff. And unfortunately, we're not able to mix for Christmas, which is probably the downside to all of this. I know. So we can't mix for Christmas, but hopefully that this will we've now had the jab, so we're able to get the vaccine. So about 500,000 people have had the vaccine now, so hopefully we're on a bit of a roll, and by 2021 we can get a little bit back to normal.
So before I hand over the screen to you, Rebecca, and let you give an intro, as we approach the end of 2020, what has this year, reflecting back, what do you think this year has brought for you?
Ooh, this year for me in particular. So I feel that this year I have gone from, I think I found my purpose and my meaning this year. And I think this has been the case for a lot of people where they've either found this year particularly hard. It's been very stressful on their families, on their businesses. It's been a very turbulent year. Yeah. And there's another set of people, which I feel that I am in, where this year has been an enlightening year. It has been the year that I have found who I am, where I'm going, what my meaning is, what my core values are. Everything I feel has come together this year. And I think that that's what the 2020 to me, when I look back, I feel that I'm going to look back on it with a lot of fondness of the year that I grew exponentially. And it's been rocky, it's been rocky for everybody. But this year for me, I am insanely grateful for this year, because without it, I feel that I would have just been going on a very linear line, and it has really shaken my world, but for the better.
And I think, Rebecca, it's probably because of that perspective of yours that we have connected. And I think it's probably because of that perspective that our energies attracted each other. And you're on my show as my guest, because I think my show is literally what the name says. It's a heart-to-heart connect. Absolutely. And for me, my show is an opportunity to just learn from other people. And it's literally, that is exactly what 2020 has been for me. Difficulties, yes. But for me, it's a time of new beginning and change and evolving. So on that note, I'm going to hand over the screen to you and give you solo to share with my audience about yourself.
Oh, I'm so shy. No, I'm not. So my name is Rebecca Hollis, and I am a startup entrepreneur. I have spent the last really the last 15 years in the corporate world, working my way up. I had a burnout about 4 or 5 years ago, which completely blew open the doors and changed my world completely. And I am now on a new journey to help people implement growth as a lifestyle into their everyday life.
All right. So I think, Rebecca, what do you think, when you look around you, what do you think is the biggest problem that you're seeing? Or the problem that you feel you want to address and you want to help
Right.
people with? What do you see as the problem?
I think so. This year, I've actually spent a ton of time on my own. And that's partly due to the pandemic, partly due to the fact that we had to social distance from people. I'm an incredibly social person. I love spending time with people. I love feeding off of other people's energies. And for all the right reasons, I've been that way all my life. But one thing that you can do when you are that way inclined, I'm an extrovert. But one thing you can do when you are like that is you can be feeding off people's energies and spending all this time in these social environments and not spending enough time in the gap. And not spending enough time pausing and just listening to yourself and your own inner voice. And I think what I have realized this year by spending a ton of time on my own and a ton of time by myself and really asking myself questions and deep questions as well, very personal. What are my values? What do I truly care about? What's my legacy? Who do I want to help? How do I want to help people? And why do I want to help people? And it's really been, so for me, I found that I've had a lot of time to spend on my own to sit and reflect. And I've also noticed how a lot of people have reacted this year. There's been very different people that have reacted in very, very different ways. And I feel like we're in a place now, and the world is in a place now where we get so much instant gratification from a lot of different areas. So for argument's sake, when we are sitting around waiting for a job to happen, we're sitting around waiting for a pandemic to finish for us to feel good. We are waiting for our life partner for us to feel fulfilled. We're waiting for £1 million in the bank for us to feel rich. And we are in this place where we're not able to do that from within. Everything, our happiness is based on external, everything. And when you place your happiness and your validation on something outside of you happening, then you are setting yourself up for failure, because that's not something you control. But what you can control is what's inside. And what's inside is then how you can help yourself. And I've noticed this year that a lot of people are really struggling with all the things and all the factors that are going on. But it's harder for people to really sit back and say, well, I've got this, or I'm able to do this, or I can do that, or we've still got this. And it's because there's been a lot of noise and a lot of things that have happened. And I think that's probably been the hardest thing to watch. Is I've watched people that I love, and also people that I just generally see every day online and stuff like that. I've watched people really self-sabotage on top of what's happening by not knowing that they have things inside of them that can help them feel good and to feel better. And that's been the hardest thing, watching people be so upset and so negative online and shouting at each other, and you're this and you're that. And, all the things that have gone on this year have been huge reflections of how we're all feeling inside. And I think that's been one of the biggest things that this year has blown the doors open and kind of said, we need to take back control. We need to take back who we are and not allow everything outside of us to control who we are.
Like
and how we feel.
our mind and our body, because it's mind, body, soul.
Absolutely.
And it's like a place of worship for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about being so mindful about what you let, the thoughts, the energy,
Yeah.
physically what we are consuming, um, everything around us. Mindfulness is so necessary, to be aware of what we allow inside us.
Mm.
What we allow inside us could be a predator.
Mm-hmm.
Just the thoughts,
Yes.
they could be, they could be thoughts. Like you just said, we are, most of the time, we are the ones who are self-sabotaging ourselves.
Absolutely.
So we
And
are
our
the ones who,
emotions can
yeah,
manifest.
yeah,
Our emotions, our emotions, you think they're all up here, but they could be felt all over the body. So when I had this burnout a few years ago, what happened is other than the fact that I was having, so some of the things when you have a burnout is you get things like brain fog. You can't make simple decisions. Going to the shops is a massive task. It feels so big, and you can't make the simplest of decisions, whether that be professionally or personally. And you have all of these things which are kind of like, you think they're like mental, and you think that when you have a burnout it's because you're exhausted and this, that, and the other, but also it manifests in your body. So I was my stress hormone when I was going through this was taking up so much of my body's energy that it actually changed my gut bacteria. My gut bacteria completely changed, because they say that your mind and your gut and everything in between. So what was happening is it changed my whole gut bacteria, and my hair started to fall out. And there's a lot to be said as well, that with when it comes to things like your brain and your stomach and your hair falling out, and also the alignment with cancer and stress and stuff like that. So we have to be so careful at the moment that we're not getting kind of swept up in everything that's going on. We need to look after ourselves, because we might be saying, oh well, we're eating right or we're going to the gym, but also the stress and the anxiety has a huge impact on how healthy we are.
yeah.
So yeah,
Mind, body, soul, right? It
huge.
all needs to connect. It needs to be in sync, because if anything is out of sync, um, I have this French daughter who's hospitalized right now, and
Oh,
she's
sorry.
yeah, and she's she just 22 years old, beautiful girl fighting for her life, um, autoimmune,
Okay.
and some different factors. And so I've just been, it's like, the people that are coincidentally, the guests who are coming in, who was here last week, the discussion on stress and, resulting in anxiety, depression, autoimmune diseases, exactly what you're talking about, just
Mm-hmm.
all of these things, which nobody realizes that, what, this stress and anxiety eating you up inside
Mm-hmm.
going to have dire consequences.
Yeah. And it's like smoking, like you can say, well, if you smoke on a continuous basis, it's going to have an effect on your overall health. It's the same with stress. If you're not going to have things in place, if you're not going to put stuff in place that deals with stress and anxiety, and you're not going to put yourself into what I believe is that we should be able to create a blueprint, like be able to rejig our own personal blueprint to put these pillars in place that we're able to protect ourselves, or to give ourselves the best possible chance. Because let's be honest, life is life. We
Yeah.
are humans. We're not perfect, and things happen. The pandemic, who would have thought?
Yeah.
But if we set ourselves up for success, like how we have a strategy for business. What if this goes wrong? What's our exit strategy? We kind of need to have that for ourselves, because we're not healthy human beings if we're not healthy up here.
Yeah.
The problem is we spend so much money on nutrition and the gym and exercise and all of this. It's billions and billions of dollars, and the problem is not enough people invest up here.
Yeah.
And then we're not healthy until we are healthy everywhere.
Especially the mind,
Yeah.
right? Because if you're not healthy up here and you're going to the gym, you are, eating healthy, and but if you're not healthy in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
then all that, I mean, there's only your body is created by the creator. It's itself. It's created to self heal. It's
Mm-hmm.
complete.
Yes.
It's developed to function on its own and to be able to fix and heal.
Yes.
But when we are consumed with stress, and the stress, like you mentioned earlier, starts changing the hormones within our body,
Everything.
and
Mm-hmm.
it starts to change the chemistry within.
Yes. And it lasts a long time. This can last for years. The impact that it's had on me has really, would I say it's completely gone away? No. Like I've got to keep doing things. I can't just get complacent. I need to make sure that I'm keep investing in myself to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So the last couple of days, actually, I've been incredibly busy before the end of the year. I've had a ton of momentum at the start. I'm just starting a new business, a new concept. It's very, very new. And I didn't want the momentum to finish. I was like, oh, how very selfish that Christmas is happening. But all of this momentum has started to kick in, and I had a few things that I realized that I need to outsource. And I was like, I need to make some decisions to outsource a few projects, and I need help. And how I noticed that was I was starting to get pain in my shoulders and my neck, like a pain. And I was like, that's stress. And I was like, I feel the manifestation of the stress is going into my shoulders and my neck. And whereas before this type of thing, I would have noticed it and thought there's nothing I can do about it, and it probably would have gone on for weeks. I took myself away and was like, no, this is good. You're doing really well. And you've made a decision to outsource it. And I meditated for a bit, and it went in a few hours. And that was because I have put things in place to be able to look after myself, to notice that I can do these things. To know
that's the first thing, self-awareness, right? Your body is like the first thing that starts manifesting and showing that, hey, you know what? Something is wrong.
Yes.
Some pains, whether they're headaches or they're shoulder aches or back aches or the skin, which is the biggest organ of your body, starts to show as well in different forms that, you know what, something is wrong, and it's time. Hey, these are hints. Start, making amends.
Yeah. And I'm a self-confessed perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist, as I like to call myself. A lot of people that are high achievers and that are perfectionists are very prone to burning out. And I'm noticing a lot of the patterns that I'm doing now, where I'm like, I've got so much momentum happening. I've got so many people asking me to do things, and I don't want to just stop for Christmas and it all to go, and I have to build it all back up in the new year. But that taught me a few days ago, it's like, no, you need Christmas. You need to enjoy it. You need to lay horizontal on the sofa. You need to eat a ton of stuff, and don't go to your computer for a couple of days. And whereas before that thought of, no, I need to keep going. I need to keep pushing. We're in this culture where we have to keep pushing all the time. And actually what's happened is the idea for my business, and actually some of my best ideas over the last 6 months that have got me to where I am now, have been when I've practiced the pause, when I've taken a step back. I've gone, okay, I'm trying too hard, or I'm trying to think too much. What's the answer? What's the answer? What's the answer? And actually, the second that I took myself back, put on a bit of music, ate a bit of chocolate, whatever it might be, that makes me happy, I leaned into the joy. And when I lean into the joy, all of a sudden the answer tends to come to me.
Yeah.
And that is something that I would not have allowed myself to do before. I would have thought, no, I've got to keep pushing. And actually, I probably got somewhere, but it took me a lot longer. Whereas actually, it sounds counterintuitive, but actually to sit back, to practice the pause and to look after yourself. I mean, the whole part of like the company, the growth tank method that I am just setting up now is about this type of making personal development a lifestyle. Because I sat back and I was like, why is there so much emphasis on going to the gym and eating the right things when you're not okay up here?
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of the right things. So I was doing a lot of all the right things the last 4 years that I thought I should be doing, but there was areas that I wasn't doing. And what happened is I was doing all these and I was happy enough. I was what I would call coasting. I've been
Because
coasting.
you're a by nature you're a optimist, and you are an
And I'm a
extrovert.
doer, I like doing, and I like making, I'm a change maker. I like making things happen. I want to, there's a lot of things I want to do.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to but the last 4 years I've just been very I've been okay. And what I realized is when the pandemic hit, is there was a couple of things that happened that made me change. I didn't actually change many things, but what I did was I started doing a few things, extra things. And I was like, and that's when it clicked. I was like, what I was doing is I was doing, say, 5 things over here, but I wasn't doing these 3 things. And it was these 3 things that were going to take me from A to B. And then it's these 3 things that would take me from B to C. And I realized that there was a lot of things that you kind of need to do and that you need to implement into your life on a daily basis. And it's not just the regular things. It's not just, oh, well, I'll meditate once a day and I'll go to the gym once a day. There's loads of things that we can do.
Small things.
Very small. Very small. And this is the thing. I'm not one, I don't want to take on a lot of stuff. Things have to be easy for me. I lose attention very quickly. I want things to work. I want, I need to know that it's doing it for my best interest and the people around me and all of that type of thing. So when I realized, actually, when I started doing these things, I was like, oh my God, all of a sudden I've really taken off. But why? And then it all that's where this whole idea came from, of the growth tank method, where I was able to take on my experiences. And then I was started to speak to friends and family and also people through my LinkedIn, people that I've entrepreneurs and people that I know. And I was like, hold on a minute, this is what a lot of people experience. And that's where the growth tank method has come from. It's become from my own experience, but what I've realized is it's actually the experience of everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rebecca, what are you expecting the growth tank method? How is it going to help people? How is it going to solve the problem that you have seen amongst people?
Well, my mission is I want the growth tank method to help people to feel good. I'm all about feeling good, because if you can feel joy and good, and you don't have to feel it all the time. Let's be honest, we're humans. But if we can feel good most of the time by being our authentic self, most of the things that are happening every day at the moment and the negativity in the world and the pain is people that feel pain hurt others. And so when you are in pain, you want others to feel pain. You don't realize you're doing it, because if everybody, imagine for a second that everybody in this world was doing exactly what they wanted to do and they were living in joy all the time, do you think they've got time to say anything negative? They've not got time to put anybody else down. They're in a very different space. The world would look really different if we were all living our authentic selves and in joy. So the growth tank method and what I've come up with is to try and help people maintain this type of lifestyle where they're constantly putting into their joy tank, their growth tank, because really joy and happiness comes from continually growing and finding who we are. It's through constant growth that we find happiness.
Because we're a product of a lot of suppressed emotions throughout, from the moment we are born, and we start absorbing all the thoughts and the energy of our loved ones around us, of, just not just the loved ones, but but the people we meet, encounter, siblings, cousins, school friends, our
Yes.
environment, we start becoming a product of our environment
Yes.
until you reach that certain point in life where you realize that you have all these suppressed emotions, and you are far from the person that you were meant to be. And
Hmm.
that's where this crisis kicks in, and you start trying to figure out, hey, what's my purpose in life?
Who am I?
Who am I? What am I meant to do in this life?
Yeah.
Right? And that's when you start trying to figure out that, okay, you know what? I'm not even close to the person I've become.
Right.
And there's so many things. Sometimes, I mean, I meet people who like who hate so much about themselves,
I know.
you
And
know,
that's so
because
sad.
they've become someone they don't like.
Yeah. And and honestly, it's really easy to do. It's really easy to do, but there's lots of things that you can put into place, like you said, very, very small things that you can do to try and help preserve who you are, also to try and figure out who you are, because that's the foundation level, right? We need to get to the point where we're like, okay, what's our core values? What do we want to change? What things do we want to bring to the world? What's our gift? What is our gift to the world, and what's going to be our legacy?
Yeah.
So how the growth tank method, it's based on, I was looking at what is my life cycle, and what does everyone else, what is everyone else's life cycle? Why are some people down here and some up here? And why does that change? And a few years later, they might be down here and then they're back up here again. That we all go through a lifestyle, and the blueprint is exactly the same for everybody. So we have something called a Lifequake, where you can, it can be anything from a pandemic happening to losing a relationship to being made redundant from a job. Anything, losing a family member. It can be as severe as that. And this is something that completely, takes you from underneath you. It comes out of nowhere, and it's something that is a part of life, but it is crushing. It is absolutely crushing. And once that happens, we then go into something called, what I call it, a bit of no man's land. So we've had this thing happen to us. We kind of don't know what to do, where to go. We're a little bit almost frozen, don't quite know what to do yet. And we sit in no man's land for a little while until we have this thing called a turning point. And then one day we might wake up and go, right, I'm going to get off the sofa now and I'm going to exercise, or I'm going to go on a dating app and I'm going to find the love of my life, or I'm going to apply for a job, and I'm not going to allow this to be my life anymore. So this is your aha moment, or your turning point.
Yeah.
And then from that turning point, you get a ton of energy. You get a ton of, and the wheels start. So the more things that start to happen, the wheels start turning. And this is your growth period. This is your period of self-discovery. This is your period where, you get that job, you see, and then you go into, like this big growth period where it's, you get the job, you meet your partner, whatever it might be, you lose 10 pounds or whatever it might be. And for a while, you're great, but then you start to enjoy the view at the top of the mountain, and you get complacent. So you might be in a relationship for a few years. You stop going on date night. You might be in a job and you might start turning up to work a bit late. All of these things start happening. And then all of a sudden, a Lifequake comes. And you can't help it, because this is life, and it sweeps you off, and you go like snakes and ladders. You go all the way back down to the start again. And I was like, why does this have to happen? Why does it have to happen in this way? And I feel like that's kind of how life is at the moment. How the things and the world is changing so quickly these days that we need to have a better grasp on managing this process. So the process of the growth tank method is that you're always going to have something like a Lifequake. It's always going to happen, and you need a little second just to sit in no man's land and gather your thoughts. But rather than sitting there and waiting for this turning point, you go straight into personal development. You go straight into growing. You start doing small little things that help you every day: gratitude, meditation, going for a little walk, all of these type of things. But you have this blueprint. that you're able to go straight back into personal development. And then you get into your turning point and your aha moment much quicker. And then from your aha moment, rather than getting complacent, you keep filling up your growth tank. So you keep personal development. And then all of a sudden, you start going from personal development, aha moment, personal development, aha moment. Now, there is going to be a time when you're again going to go into the Lifequake stage, but you are going to have this new lifestyle, this new blueprint that you know how to deal with it. You know what to call upon inside of you, and also externally, you know what to do to be able to deal with it better. And that's what I want to help people with. I want people to feel good as much as they possibly can feel good, and also to be able to live their authentic selves and not allow everything around them to affect who they truly are and their joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the hardest time to be in, where life is hitting you from every direction, and you just you spend that time in no man's land. I mean, like I said, I don't know if you remember, but when we had come on that show, and when we met, Jason had said that you guys need to be on a show together. And there's so much I'm seeing so much of myself when you're speaking. And there's just so much of that similar energy and thoughts, and that's exactly whatever you're saying. I've kind of gone through it, that phase where it was complacency, and then 2016, and life just completely fell apart, and it was like you're drowning and you didn't know what to do, and then you hit rock bottom. Because rock bottom right there, it is that no man's land, and it is that point where
it's horrible. It's horrible. That isn't a great feeling, and it's the worst. And hitting that no man's land, and when you do, you go to the bottom and a lifequake happens. How you deal with it on a normal basis, it depends on what your current circumstances are, what your experiences are. Obviously, the lifequake that happens is going to have a big effect on you, and who it affects around you and the people that you love.
But it affects everyone.
Everyone.
And that's why it's the most difficult time of your life, because it's impacted everyone, and everyone is drowning. And it's like, okay, you know what? You want to throw that life jacket, but there's just one.
Yes.
Who are you going to throw it to? You're trying to scramble, and you're trying to save your loved ones around you. But it's the most difficult realization.
And also, before that turning point, it's not nice being in that area, and it's not, and you're waiting for this turning point, and you're waiting. But with my method is, what I want people to do is, during that period, is tiny loving bits of kindness to yourself. So it's, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be big. It could be make yourself a hot chocolate, or go and do this. But it's prompting you to do small acts of kindness towards yourself. And as you know, small acts, the more you build on it, the more the cogs turn. And hopefully you get to that turning point where you're like, okay, right, I'm here. This is where I'm at right now. And you can do that. The turning point happens, and it doesn't diminish what's happened to you, but it just shows
what you courage.
Yeah. It makes you brave, and you have to be brave, and you have to be audacious enough to value who you are. And also it's selfless, because to get yourself to that point, you're helping the people you love around you. Because like you just said, how hard is it to watch if something happens to you and the people you love having to watch you like that? I mean, for me, with my burnout, watching like my mum and my dad watch me, I mean, even now it just fills me with dread, because that was horrible for them to see. I mean, I've got past it now, and I'm all like, oh, well, it happened for the best, and I've, it's helped me grow. But even, for them now, they don't see it like that. They're like, oh God, it was an awful time, because they had to watch me, and it's awful. So to be able to invest in yourself and to get yourself to that point. But it's one of those things that everyone thinks that they should start investing in themselves when the chips are down. So something happens or the pandemic happens, I need to start. What if we just did this naturally? What if we could get ourselves to the place where it was a part of our blueprint? It was a part of every day. We get up every day and we say these things, we do these things, or we talk nicely to ourselves, or we do all of these things that bring us joy. And I've got, for want of a better word, I've got sort of 10 commandments and 10 different areas that you can grow in. And what I was doing prior to this year is I was probably growing in about 4 or 5 of them, and I was doing pretty good. Like, I was like, right, well, I'm training really well, and I meditate every day, and I do all of these wonderful things. But the areas that I weren't concentrating on is I wasn't concentrating on my meaning. I wasn't concentrating on serving others. I wasn't constant. There was sections that I was missing, and the second that I started to work on those, I started to elevate.
Yes.
I didn't diminish any of these things. I added these things to my blueprint, my everyday.
Yeah.
And then that's what helped me to elevate. And I was like, wow, I feel fantastic. And all I'm doing is very small things. I'm not changing the world, and I'm not doing all of these things, but I feel fantastic. And there's something.
But you are. That's exactly what you're doing. You are changing the world by coming out there and by giving people, a blueprint or hope, courage. That's exactly, because you don't know where your voice is traveling, who listening to you in which corner of the world. So, so I think there are 2 just very key things. One is self-love.
Yes.
Because you cannot give to anyone unless you have it within you to give.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes from a place of strength, and you have to have that strength within for yourself, because what you give to yourself is exactly what you will give to others. Right? And I think the second thing is that exactly what you give to others is what will come back to you. Absolutely.
Big. I couldn't agree more. And it's funny, actually, because it's almost when you give to other people, whether it be your time, it doesn't have to be money. It's just your time and your love. You get so much back. And the funniest thing happened actually at the beginning of this year. So I bought a house, and my brother's, so it's an investment property, and my brother's actually living there. So I bought this property, and to get him started with his new home, I said, oh, do you want to have I've got a ton of stuff that he could have. And he picked all my favorite stuff. And I was like, okay, how am I going to break it to him that he can't have all this stuff? And actually I thought, you know what, take all my candles, take all my favorite things, take them, because I want him to be happy. And he doesn't know what my couple of £100 candle is when he's burning it, but it's all about just about giving it away. And funnily enough, maybe about 2 weeks later than that, I actually had a tax rebate. And I know that you would say, oh, well, it was always coming. But it's one of those things that you're like, no, just give and just give and just give. And you do get things back in return. And actually the tax rebate was just something really, really fun. But actually seeing my brother all set up in his new home was amazing. And I was like, oh, the old me would never have given away my favorite candles.
But you know what also happened is when you gave away your favorite, it did leave that room for that place to get refilled.
Yes.
By something that would bring a different kind of energy into your life.
Definitely. Oh, big time. There's been so many, you would call it synchronicities over the last 6 months that I've been like, it's just, when you're on the right path. I always say, when you're on the right path, when little things come out and they just bring you joy. And funnily enough, at the moment, I find that although I feel like I've taken on a lot, so the company that I'm setting up, I wish in a way, it didn't have to be as big as what it is, but for it to impact the right kind of people and to really make a difference, it has to be what it's turning into. And it scares me, it really scares me too, but not to the point. Usually when something's not right, you don't feel good and you feel scared and you feel anxious and you feel stressed. That's how you know something's not right. But right now I feel calm.
Yeah.
And the calm, you would say, well, how can you feel calm? You've got, I'm working on funding and all of these type of things. And actually, because I know, it's a knowing. Yeah. And that's how you know you're in the right way, because now I'm not creating so much stress. It's stressful setting up a new business. It's stressful starting over again. I'm 35 years old. I'm starting over again. It should be a really stressful period. But I tell you what, I feel more alive now than I felt in years. Yeah. I feel right where I'm meant to be.
Because you're enjoying the journey.
I love the journey. I love it.
Right? You're not thinking about the destination. Okay, when am I going to get there? How far is it? Okay, how much time left?
Right.
Just look outside.
I know. And it's lovely. And the thing is I've got the vision. I know what the vision is. So the vision is there. But how I get there, the milestones and the dots, I'm relatively open to, because I felt that as someone who is a recovering pusher and a recovering perfectionist, and tunnel vision, I think it's overrated. Tunnel vision is overrated, because tunnel vision means that you are not open. And I believe to be successful and to be in a place where you're able to see opportunities, you can't have tunnel vision. You need to be open.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of the problem. We're in a culture of hustle. And don't get me wrong, I'm hustling right now, but I'm hustling in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'm not hustling uphill.
Yeah.
I'm hustling in the right direction. I'm going with
You're enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm working hard. I'm working long hours. I'm spending a lot of time on my own, but I'm hustling in the right direction, and it's flowing and it's calmish. Yeah. Calmish. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think that's what life is about. Life is about it's not just having that tunnel vision from a work perspective. It's about having that tunnel vision from life's perspective as well. Yes. Being, accepting others for who they are, respecting differences. Not everyone in this world is meant to be the same.
No.
In fact, no one is meant to be the same, right? This is exactly how the world is meant to be. It's meant to be colorful. It's meant to be, differences in opinions and thoughts. And it's about learning to live with each other.
I love what you said about it's meant to be colorful. The world is meant to be colorful, and you are meant to enjoy it. And this isn't just how it is, doesn't mean that's how it should be. And you have the right to be whoever you want to be, but you need to figure that part out. And I think that you can be doing really all the right things. When I had my burnout, I was doing things for the right reason with good intent, but I wasn't connected I was doing something that I was very passionate about, but I really wasn't connected to my purpose. And people get very confused between passion and purpose. And I was working in cheerleading, and cheerleading to me is my absolute passion, and it still is to this day. And I'll talk about it to anybody that will listen. So hit me up to talk about cheerleading. But it isn't my reason for getting out of bed every day. My reason for getting out of bed every day is I want people to feel good. I can see a vision of people just really feeling good about who they are, and having this inside of them, this knowing inside of them that they are able to deal with the world and live the life that they want. And that's for me, that's my purpose. I enjoyed doing cheerleading and going to, I coach Team England, the national cheerleading team. I love it. I get there, I get goosebumps. It's the best thing in the whole entire world, but I don't wake up every day to do that. I wake up every day to do what I'm doing right now. And how I got to where I'm doing what I'm doing right now is by practicing the pause and taking some time out to ask myself tough questions and to reflect. And that's going to be a part of the growth tank method, where you take some time out to become better acquainted with yourself and to ask these tough questions, because you can't be going and pushing and hustling in a direction that is not conducive to who you are or where you want to go.
And I think that's how the world had become. I think the universe took everything in its own hands and just hit that pause button for everyone.
Yeah.
When initially, it's like a train going in motion, and all of a sudden it just stops, and everyone is like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Right? There's chaos. There's like, how are we going to get to our destination? This is a disruption. But then it's like, you know what? Pushing. And now we are in our homes, we are with our families. As difficult as this is, because there's a lot of stuff which is happening, chaos, anxiety, people are hospitalized, watch loved ones even die. But I think it is a drastic measure which has been taken by
the universe
to just tell people to stop. It's much better in the UK, but in the US, I mean, there's like a 50, 60, 70, 80-hour work week, and people are just working. And, it's just about stopping and self-reflecting. And like you said, hitting that pause button and just trying to spend time with yourself and nurture yourself, mind, body, soul, and spend time just slowing down and just loving yourself.
I think I agree with you. And I think that the whole world, give it a couple of years. For some, like you and I, we feel this way now. I feel this year has been a blessing. And I'm not, again, like you, I'm not diminishing what's happened to people. I know people that have got COVID now. We are the UK. There's a lot going on here at the moment, and it's horrible. And I know friends that have lost their businesses. This is not a personal one size fits all, but I do feel that historically we're going to look back on this year and see this as a huge step forward.
Connections, right? Connections between the family members and between
I believe that I believe that we have been like spoiled children for the last few years. Our generation, particularly mine, we've had a lot of things and not a lot has been really going wrong. I mean, we're very protected and we've not gone through world wars, and there's not been a massive disruption globally like this. And the world, we've got very comfortable and we've got complacent, and the world has been through this life cycle. This life cycle is exactly the same for everybody, no matter who you are, what you are. This is the same, and it's happened exactly the same this year. It's happened for everybody. We've all had this Lifequake, and we've gone into no man's land, not knowing what we're doing. And some of us are starting to come out. Some of us are starting to have our aha moments, and we're starting to pivot, and we're getting a ton of energy, and we're going into personal development. But something will happen again, and we just need to be appreciative of what we've got. We need to have the tools. We need to have a good mindset, and we need to be healthy. We need to be healthy. We just need to have a healthy approach.
Reprioritize.
Yes, we do. And the thing is like, I do think that give it a couple of years, we're going to look back and everyone's going to say that this was the year that our culture changed. Like you were saying, culture. I know I actually worked for an American company before, and I would not go on their terms and conditions because I was like, no way, because we value holidays in the UK and time off. And I think that things have changed now, like the whole being able to work from home, and we could, like people can work from home. I mean, not everyone wants to, let's be honest. You don't want to do it all the time. And we want connection. You know, we want to be connected to each other. But
you work to live, not living to work.
Yes, exactly that. And I think that we can now move forward.
Yeah.
After all this happens, because we can't stay still. So we've got to move forward now. that this is
redefining your own life.
Yeah, and we've all got to go forward and take the good from this. We cannot hold on to the bad. You can't hold on to the bad for anything. There's not one second that I think about the bad time of my burnout. I now look back on it and I'm like, thank you to those people that were involved, you know, that I thought at the time, the people were against me. No one was supporting me. You know, like all these bad things were happening. And actually it was all me. I manifested it. It was all me. I was allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
And what has happened as a result is I'm a better entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm fully equipped to be able to deal with these Lifequakes better. I've managed to understand who I am as a person. I deal with people better. I've got more compassion and empathy for people. It's actually helped me to grow exponentially. And without it, I don't know really where I'd be. I think I'd be 10 years behind. Yeah. And that's what these times that we're going through right now with the pandemic, you don't maybe think it at the time, but you realize, give it a couple of years, that this was the greatest gift, but you have to see it as that.
We need to come out of that victim mindset, that victim mentality, where it's like, okay, you know what have my friends done for me? What have this person done for me, or that person?
How dare the government, you know?
No, it's about you. What can you do for yourself? Stop focusing on what others can do for you. Focus on what you can do for yourself and what you can do for others. And on that note, Rebecca, we are approaching the end of the show, and I'm going to hand over the screen to you and let you, it's your pitch. It can be your sales pitch. And I'm going to let you do that. And it was my pleasure having you. So I'm going to give you a minute to speak, and I'm going to actually run in to get my charger. So here you go.
Oh, you've left me with everyone.
Yes,
great. So that was a great conversation. I hope everyone really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for having me on. These kind of conversations are really, really important, and to maybe have these conversations with your friends and your family, and to think outside, and to also see how you can help other people. This moment in time is very poignant, and we need to be looking not just at what's going on, but how we can contribute to that, and how external things are happening and they're going on around us. What can we do that's in our power? Because there's lots of things happening that we cannot control, but one thing we can control is what's going on inside. A lot of people miss that we can't control our emotions, and actually we can. We just need to put the right things in place, do the right things every single day that will help us get to where we need to get to. So there's lots and lots of positives that have come from this year, and I hope everyone can look inside of themselves and kind of see, what can I do to what's in my control to make this year and next year and the years to come better? What can I contribute? How can I help people? And don't let the external things and all the fluff and all the news and everything going on around you affect who you are inside. And if you want a bit of help with that, if you want some help getting going, just give me a message, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to help. I'm working on something at the moment. The growth tank method is very, very new, but I'm happy to help people. So just send me a message. I'm more than happy to help people to feel good. Unmute. Unmute.
Okay. So Rebecca, thank you for it was an honor and a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's a beautiful, beautiful podcast. I love the concept behind it.
Thank
So,
you.
thank
So
you.
much.
All right. Have a lovely day.
And you as well, and Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
And in fact, Merry Christmas to everyone celebrating it, and happy holidays to everyone. And absolutely, I hope the holidays are wonderful for everyone.
Beautiful.
Thanks
so much.
So on that note, thank you everyone for being here, and always it's a pleasure, it's an honor hosting people and bringing people on. And thank you for watching, and have a happy holiday.